All right, party people, what's going on? Johnny Andrews here. Looks like we are live and streaming, and this is super fun. So today, what I want to talk about is something I think that is probably near and dear to a lot of people's hearts, and that is how to really survive and potentially. I say potentially because everybody's different, obviously, and there's, I don't want to belittle what anyone's going through right now. But this is, I'm going to kind of give you a little bit of background on how I was able to do this and three lessons that I learned on how to really come out of a big financial hit. And so I'll give you some idea of what was going on before all of these things happened, and then very much what I was able to learn to do, and hopefully you can apply these things. Now, the other fun thing, and I want you to stick around for other live streams like this, is because I'm having my team right now put together a really cool, let's call it, I don't know what to call it, like a PDF. I mean, yay, PDF, right? Okay. But it's going to cover, first of all, how to stop the bleeding, how to, how to stop the bleeding, how to get funding. There's some very interesting sources right now. I know that a lot of traditional lenders have tightened up on things, and that might be something that's needed. So I'm going to talk, it's going to cover a lot of that stuff. So we're putting it together. It should be ready by tomorrow. I have not sent it through, it has not gone through an epic editing process, so I apologize in advance. But I will be talking about that tomorrow, and I'll give you a direct link where you can just grab it, no opt-in needed or anything, and then go ahead and share it with your friends and stuff like that. So what's up? And thank you for joining. So if anybody wants to say hi, that'd be awesome. Just throw it in the comments, whether it's now, replay, all those kinds of things. Let me put a little message here. Say hi. I can't talk and type. What your biggest question is. Cool. Bam. Let me put that in the chat and let's see how that works. By the way, I'm really kind of liking this. Boom. How about that? There we go. I'll use my wife's cup here and make a mess of it. Evidently, I did not tighten the top. Well, that's okay. Now I'm wearing a dirty shirt on camera. So what we're talking about today is very much how to come out, how to come out of a financial hit. And let me give you a quick background on where a lot of this stuff came from. So, and this is kind of why I learned these lessons. Back in the day, this was probably circa 2004 and 5. I was living, I had made the decision, totally by decision, to kind of radically change my life. And I was living in this tiny little office building and sleeping either on this concrete floor or this little wicker chair called a papasan, and living out of the 2001 Honda Civic, and essentially was homeless. And I was trying to make my fortune, if you will, in real estate investment and mortgages and things like that. And so it was a very interesting time. So I'd done, a couple of things decently and whatnot. But what had happened was, right before I was going to close on a series of deals that would have set me up with some passive cash flow pretty much for life, I got a call from the people who were doing my loans, and they said, listen, we can't close these things because you have lates on your mortgage. And I'm thinking to myself, whoa, hold on a second. I'm homeless, living in this office. I don't have a mortgage. So that was sort of a thing. And literally what happened was I went from running from all of these, financial calamities to literally getting it just overnight completely destroyed financially. I lost all the earnest money I'd put into the houses. Everything was basically just had completely crashed. And so over the course of the next couple of weeks, what ended up happening was everything went delinquent. There was literally just no cash flow because I had pushed everything, redlined everything right to the limit. And so I had to overdraw my bank account by about $200 so that I could have just enough gas. Because luckily I had a wonderful mileage car. It was a 2001 Honda Civic, and it'd been my bed for many a night. But I had to overdraw my bank account by my last $200 to go crash with my folks and talk about hail the triumphant return of the awesome entrepreneur, because they'd been kind of against me doing a lot of that stuff from the beginning. And it just wiped me out completely. So I had no credit because it was all delinquent. Wasn't able to really get a job, couldn't get a bank account because I guess that was what it's called, check systems or something like that, because I'd overdrawn my bank account. That was, that wiped me out too. No job, because at the time, the only thing I was really qualified to do was something in the financial sector, which I can tell you right now, if you are that bad on everything, they won't hire you. So no bank account, no credit cards, no job. And yeah, that was kind of crappy. And so that was over the holidays that I had to crash with my folks. And so the three lessons that I really learned from this, that absolutely, and they didn't happen all at once, mind you. Like, I didn't sort of wake up one day and go, oh, this is the best thing ever. I was like, crap, this sucks. Because I'd been completely wiped out on every conceivable level. And I had to spend a lot of time clawing and clawing and clawing. But I'll kind of give you, and by the way, hello, say hi as you pop onto this here thingy. And if you have any questions, please let me know. And yeah, so what we're going to talk about today, just a quick recap for the folks who are joining us, is to really go over the three lessons I learned from being completely devastated financially when I had my identity stolen. And this was well over 20 years ago. And so we didn't have the kind of technology and the kind of opportunity that we do today. And I'm definitely going to kind of reiterate that as we kind of go through, is the world that we live in now. Oh, wow. Compared to what it was back then is completely, we didn't even have smartphones back then. This was nuts. Like I said, this was circa 2004, 2005, long before Apple launched the iPhone and started that whole crazy revolution. So it was very interesting. So the end game here, and what ended up happening, was that I had to kind of fight and claw my way through things. And if I wanted to eat, thankfully, and I'm kind of a fan of PayPal for this. I understand that people feel a certain way about them at times, but the fact that I was able to eat because of PayPal. So what I had to do was I would go and have to either create a product or write something and then go sell that. And then I got enough money to use the debit card to be able to buy food so that I could, have a meal that day. And so you want to, people say it's you're resourceful when you're hungry. I can tell you that is physically true. Not just a little bit true. That is physically true. Is that when you're in that kind of position, it's not fun at all. And so over the years, I had to kind of scratch and claw my way out of that, and I ended up building a business that has gone on to do multiple millions of dollars in sales. But it was done with no job, no credit cards, no bank account, no nothing. I was actually getting checks from a place called ClickBank, which is not a bank. It's actually an online marketplace. I would sell stuff as an affiliate, get a commission, and then every 2 weeks they would mail a check, and I would have to go to the local currency exchange to cash that. And over the course of time, I did that so many times. I'll never forget this. I was standing in line, they had the bulletproof glass with a little place where you slide the money. And there was a dude with, just tons of teardrop tattoos like coming down. It was, I don't know. It just, everything looked really crazy for, pretty normal dude like me. And the guy behind the bulletproof glass picks up the phone. He's like, it's that guy again. And you can just hear him say, clear it. I was like, cool, this is great. And so one day I woke up and, there were about $64,000 worth of those checks in an envelope in a sock drawer. And I'm like, I got to get my life together. This is crazy. But that was really it was a very interesting moment there to have gone from having perfect credit, having all the things I could possibly want, to then redlining everything and getting completely blown up in the middle of this identity theft problem. So how does that apply to what's going on today? Well, a couple of things. And the first rule that I discovered, and my goal with this here, so that you don't have to go through the thing, you just know this stuff now, is number one, first and foremost. And this might sound a little bit weird, but don't focus on the problem. Now, what I mean by this is you're going to be aware of the problem. Like, so for example, right now, if your business is in a situation where, the money suddenly turned off, like for example, if you saw the live stream that I did yesterday, that was a great example of an industry that somebody literally just hit the off button. on that thing. It was the spa and the salons, beauticians, hairdressers, all those kinds of folks. That's a hard position to be in. And it's very easy to get in the mentality of, oh my word, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? But the thing that you never want to do is focus on the problem, is just stare at it. Because what happens is, and you probably heard this from other people, is what you focus on ends up expanding. And this is not the end of the solution. Like, you hear me on this. This is kind of hard to do a lot of times, but this is something that I learned having having gone through this myself, is that if you focus on the problem, that's all you're going to see is the problem. What you want to do is kind of pop your head out and figure out any way that you can to possibly do this, to pop your head out of it and kind of look for the solutions. That is a huge, 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 huge turn. Let's just call it a shifting of focus. Like I said, you're aware of the problem. I mean, you're aware of the problem every single day. I mean, everybody out there right now, with all of this crazy stuff happening, is aware of the problem. You turn on, you pick up social media, you turn on the TV, they're going to make you aware of the problem. So that's why you don't need to focus on it, is because it's there. It's there for all to see. All right. What you want to start doing is realizing that, number one, you're not alone. This is a massive thing that is affecting more people than I would say. And like I said, I'm not in the government. I'm not a finance guy. I'm not even a doctor. But just looking at kind of the landscape and every now and then going out to go, say, pick up a burrito or something, and the way people are acting, this looks like is that this is probably more impactful on a social level, and obviously financial, than pretty much anything that has happened previously. 9/11, you name it, like, did not impact even like this. It's super crazy. So understand that. And I know that's kind of a crazy thing to say, but you're not alone in this, which is a weird benefit, because when everybody's in it, and people are going to be a lot cooler than you might think with something that's going on. And so, for example, and I had mentioned this earlier, is tomorrow, probably a little late, maybe right before the live webinar that we're going to do. Tomorrow, I'm going to get you a sheet on, number one, how to stop the bleeding. We talked a little bit about this yesterday, but I put it down into a format. How to get money. So how to stop the bleeding, how to get funding. There's a couple of really cool sources out there right now that everybody should be taking advantage of. And then how to thrive in this kind of situation. So I'll get that out. Don't worry, you need to opt in. There's nothing like that. I'll probably attach a link in a blog post or something. So once again, the three things that you can do is, number one, do not focus on the problem. And within that, just understand you're not alone. Absolutely not alone. And the other big thing is that this is going to pass. So for a lot of folks, if you're struggling with this, time has this awkward habit of just kind of marching on, which means the bad times aren't as bad as we think, and the good times, well, they don't last either. So this is sort of maybe the upside of that thing. And now the second piece is that you are, and I wrote these down, by the way, so I wouldn't forget them. The second piece, and this is something, when you go from homeless, broke, no credit card, no bank account, no job, and all this kind of stuff, to building a successful business, you realize that you are way more resourceful than you might be giving yourself credit for. And the ability for you to realize how resourceful you are and what kind of awesome stuff your brain's going to come up with is when you stop focusing on the problem. So without step one, step two usually doesn't happen. Hopefully that makes sense. And by the way, say, hey, I'd like to know who you are, where you're coming from, and all those fun things. But if not, that's fine too. Even if you're on the replay, you can do that, because I will answer. I fired this site up specifically to handle all of these fun shenanigans. So number one, don't focus on the problem. Number two, really, really, really believe this. You are way more resourceful than you think you are. And what's going to end up happening is, when you stop focusing on the problem and you shift your focus to say, okay, this exists, this is happening, life is what life is. However, I kind of want to get over here. In order to be able to become more resourceful, you're going to need to start asking different questions. This is absolutely massive. And I'll tell you about, and I'll talk more in depth about this, and I'll show you screenshots and all sorts of fun things for this case study. But I posted this. If you go to scaleyourhustle.com, at least right now while we're live, I have not posted another case study about this, but there was one for a group that I was working with who were completely decimated by this thing, and within 6 days increased their sales by 200.33%, if you're looking for an exact number. And then last night, I heard back from them, and they're doing more than they've done in the entire history of their business, which is great. From a very fast mindset shift. And so the resourcefulness that has come out of that has been epic. So just understand that once you stop focusing on the problem, you start asking different questions, your ability to be resourceful is going to be massive. And really quickly, let's see here. So number one, we will say, do not focus on the problem. Does this work? Boom, there we go. All right. There we go. We will we'll toss up the YouTube one. And then number two is going to be be aware. Hopefully I spelled that right. What's up? It's the Maloof. There you go. There you go. Well, Amy, why don't you actually that's cool. This is funny. Yeah, why don't you throw me some info on that, and maybe we'll have you in for a little hot seat like I did yesterday. That might be something that you'll find helpful. So what kind of small business clients you're working with and those kinds of things? Absolutely. I'm totally down for that. And then yeah, it's been a hot minute. My word. Look at all those things. Excellent. But yeah, good to see you there. So yeah, like I said, all this delightfulness came out of me being in a very bizarre position where I went from trying to make my living in real estate and being a mortgage broker, awkwardly enough, living out of the backseat of my car, which, by the way, is not totally conducive to good business. Not sure if you know that. So yeah, went from there to being hit with identity theft and then being totally wiped out financially. Lost all the credit cards, could not get anything. I probably should have done a bankruptcy, but I didn't. But yeah, went from all this delightful stuff to then building a pretty successful business, and then kind of continuing on from there. So number three here. So one fast recap: don't focus on the problem. You're going to be aware of the problem anyway because you're going to feel it like in your bones. It's all good. It's going to be there. Focus on instead the solution. And when you make that shift, all right, Maloof, you can just hit me up on Facebook. We can just chat. Fine. Be selfish. So when you shift your thinking like that, you're going to realize that you're far more resourceful than you end up thinking of. And also probably motivated. I mean, like I said, if I wanted to eat for that certain day, I had to go sell some stuff into PayPal so I could get enough money to go to the grocery store to buy food. And you know what's funny about this whole thing with everything going on right now is this time of year for me, you can probably see it in my eyes. It's allergy season for me. Yay. And that then triggers my asthma. So everyone's like, that's why I don't go out. Like I don't go out in public normally, but especially not now because I'm gonna have like sneezing and coughing and it's not politically correct to be doing that right now. And then that leads me to the third delightful situation here is that you want to really, really, really focus on creating steps to get where you want to be. So instead of focusing on where you are, look to where you want to be. Let me close this window because it keeps trying to. Sorry. Everything on my computer is like jumping at me right now because people are like, wait, where are you going? It's a beautiful thing. Anyway, instead of focusing on your problem, focus on where you want to end up and where you want to be. And what you then do is say, okay, to get from here to there, What are those micro actions? And break this stuff down into daily steps that you need to take. What's going to move the needle? What's going to be most impactful? And so with small business people, let's see, pop that out there for the Periscope thing. So with small business folks and stuff like that, what's super important is to focus on what's going to move the needle in terms of two things, because the opportunity right now, and I'll show you this on the webinar tomorrow night. This is not, this is all very fresh information with what's going on, but the opportunity right now, once you pop your head out of the problem and start looking at what's actually going on out there, this is the moment where you can start to grow your brand, and you can do it so inexpensively. It's ridiculous. First of all, the technology and the tools that are available to us on like a minute-to-minute basis in this day and age are ridiculous. And then after that, the massive reduction in ad costs right now, but you can't be running the whole buy my stuff ads. I swear I saw this the other day. It was like it was a car commercial for a local dealer who was saying like, what was it? It's like, oh, everyone's going through such tough times. It must be awful. You know, it'll make you feel better. A new car. And I was like, stop it. No, wrong thing to do. It was like immediately ridiculous. But that is what you want to do. Don't focus on the problem. Recognize that you are way more resourceful than you think. Focus on your goal and create those daily micro actions to get there. And then every single day, just push that peanut up the hill just a little bit. So there you have it. Excellent, excellent. Amy, thank you for joining me. And everybody, what's going on? Thank you so much. I'm going to let this thing sit here for a while so you can stare. No, I'm kidding. I'm going to close this down if nobody has any questions. I will be back tomorrow evening at, in fact, I'm going to give you, if you have not yet jumped into this thing, awkwardly enough, and I know that is sort of like sacrilegious for my industry, but there's nothing for you to buy on this webinar. There you go. I will chat that to everybody. Oh, Periscope didn't see fit to kick me off that one. It's scaleyourhustle.com/live dash. You can actually just go to scaleyourhustle.com/live. I'm not sure why I put that whole thing in there. But there you have it. Join me there tomorrow night. I'll take all your questions and on all sorts of things like that. But I'm actually going to show you what I've been doing with some clients and stuff like that and the kind of results. And this is literally just within the past 2 weeks since all this stuff happened. We had a call. I was like, holy crap, everything's on fire. It's like, okay, cool. Oh, there we go. Let's see what the Maloof has to say. Thinking about right now, knowing when to recommend to clients to stay the course or jump ship and pivot. I'm a proposal writer, business dev. Ooh. All right. Really inspired through how this change of environment is going to inspire creativity. Awesome. Well, since you're disclosing, I would tell you right now that your opportunity specifically is to be getting in front of all of these people that you work with. And so being a writer yourself, I'm not necessarily sure that's a scalable business, but there might, what you'll find out seeing here, very strange. What you'll end up seeing here is that you're going to be able to capture huge quantities of mind share within the marketplace. So for example, and this is a thing that I talk about tomorrow night, and I'll actually show you inside of the insides and the results of these things. For like $1 a day, you can be reaching thousands of people with particular kinds of messages and things like that. And so in your particular case, because I'm guessing you work with a ton of different businesses, that is going to totally depend on that particular situation, to say, stay the course, jump ship, pivot. In my world, I'm a big fan of pivot, because right now, I don't think, unless you make toilet paper or masks or something like that, or you're the owner of Netflix, I mean, in which case, make more stuff. We're all getting bored already. I mean, everyone already saw the Tiger stuff, right? But I would say a pivot is definitely needed. And I'll kind of give an example from what I talked about yesterday. and it was the spa and the salon industry, which is essentially like just an off button got flipped or pushed or whatever you do with a button. But in that particular situation, the opportunity to entertain and educate and become an influencer in their market. And I'm speaking like through her to her clients who own or run or are individual stylists and that kind of stuff. The opportunity is ridiculous between LinkedIn and TikTok right now being the two biggest the biggest sources of organic reach in social media. I mean, you can grow a platform of a few 100,000 people for $0. And there's really no reason not to. Is say, hey, listen, we're gonna have a hair party tonight. For example, there's a couple of interior designers that I've chatted with who are very much in the same kind of situation. What are they gonna do? Like, it's like a shelter in place. Don't go see people. Okay, cool. What do we do? Well, why not have like a wine and wall party sort of thing where, go get a Zoom account. It's like $40 or something to that effect. So anyway, there's always pivots, and those pivots, the opportunity that they open up is to disengage from geographic limitations. So if you're, hairdresser, salon, spa, whatever it is, you can get onto the national and international stage of doing that kind of stuff, build an audience, engage with them, because the ability to then turn that into a profitable business is unreal. It's absolutely huge. You can put out courses, you can do coaching. In fact, this is one of those situations where if you play your cards right, you could end up, double, tripling, quintupling your ability to generate income. But it's one of those things where, like I said, you need to not be focused on the problem and be aware of it, but be focused on the solution. Know where you want to go, and just understand that you're way more resourceful. So you want to maybe shift from just being like a service provider to being that friendly voice of influence or information right now. But yeah, as a proposal writer for business dev and consultants and that kind of thing, nonprofit especially right now should be should really be getting out there. Yep, chaos is opportunity. A lot of people have been procrastinating on evolving, and now they're 100%. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There is nothing like a global pandemic to make people say, you know what, maybe I should write those memoirs. Maybe I should, let my children know I used to be somebody. Yeah, seriously. But in all seriousness, this is the absolute best chance, because let's be super, super realistic. This is not ending in 30 days. I would say whatever this is, best case is going to be sometime within 3 to 4 months, more likely over 6 months, just because, and not to be a doomer or gloomer, because I don't think that is doom or gloom. I think that is the length of time that we have for opportunity. Because here's the thing just about people, not from the Men in Black show, but just people in general are adaptable. People are very adaptable. So like right now, the world's like, I gotta stay home. This sucks, man. And everyone's kind of freaked out. But what happens is it kind of becomes the new normal. That's why this whole like work from home genie is never going back in the bottle. You're going to see the massive rise of virtual work environments. I mean, Facebook already has that one going out with their Oculus Rift stuff. They're going to take off on that one. Augmented reality is going to become huge. All of this stuff, because if there's anything that you can take to the bank, it's that the world governments will, especially ours, is going to look at what happens and never again and come up with some completely overreaching sort of situation that is going to make elements of this permanent. So more than likely, I was like, well, we could probably save 60,000 lives if we just have everyone stay home during flu season. That is not all that far-fetched. So I'm not saying all that's going to happen, but I'm saying that's where you should look. This is not going to be over in a month. Minimum will be 3, and expect it to take 6. But during that time, expect people to get used to this They're going to stop complaining about it. They're going to get used to it. And we all need to be starting to think about how can we take what we do and make it more whatever this is. All right. Just keep your head. And this is the, so having come out of like life altering, catastrophic financial calamity myself and having become the better for it, I can 100% tell you, don't focus on the problem, focus on the solution, keep your wits about you, look at what's going on. Probably don't watch that much news because that's always difficult. But there you go. Hopefully that was at least slightly helpful. I know that I haven't, this is funny because I've built several brands that don't involve my face and several businesses that reach, 850,000 people a month or whatever that stuff is. And it's never been about me. And so a couple of my friends have been pushing me forever to get back out in front of the camera and do these fun things because, yeah. But I have some information that'll help you. So that's cool. So tomorrow, everybody stick around. I'll be dropping that, let's just call it like white paper or whatever terminology you want to use for it. But I'll break down what we talked about yesterday, which was how to stop the bleeding, give you some ideas for that, where to get some money, some funding, some decent actual funding, and then what to do going forward. And there's a number of resources in that. So there's no opt-in. You don't have to worry about it. I'll just toss it on the site and then let you know that it's there. Cool. Excellent. Awesome. Well, yeah, that's all we got for now. Thank you for joining me. And thank you if you're watching on the replay. Replays are always fun. And Maloof, good to chat with you. Excellent stuff. Yeah, definitely go encourage folks. And if any of them need, absolutely. And seriously, if anybody needs to have a little chat, I'm going to be doing, I'm doing those hot seats like you saw yesterday. There's no set schedule right now, but there will be as I kind of like figure out what's going on with everything. I'm going to try to do them at least 2 to 3 times a week to do one-on-ones. Well, one on stream through this. So that one yesterday, interestingly enough, has been seen almost 9,000 times. I was like, all right, evidently that's being helpful. So it's super cool. So that's for the spa and the salon industry yesterday. And so maybe tomorrow we'll talk about another one. Okay. All right, y'all. Take care. Have a good one. Join me if you want the live training where I break all this stuff down. Like I said, there's nothing to sell. Go to scaleyourhustle.com/live or live-training, whatever you want to do. All right. We're out. Toodles.